The number one cause of stress among teachers is trying to convince their students to behave. 17% of new teachers quit after their first 5 years of teaching. Researchers believe that teacher burnout may be a main cause of this. Teacher burnout is a phenomenon when new teachers find themselves and their passion and their energy in teaching burn out before their first 5 years are up. I believe that every new teacher must try and avoid this problem. After a time investigating how to prevent this phenomenon, I found that a good classroom management plan is key to preventing this. I believe that teacher burnout can be prevented through various classroom management techniques. And after reaching out to past teachers and to several online resources, I found 5 strategies to head start your management plan. A classroom management plan is not just a discipline plan, but if made and implemented correctly, it can create an environment in the classroom of learning, productivity, energy, and creativity. As an incoming teacher, I've tried to equip myself as much as possible to create the best classroom management plan. You have the ability to create your dream class. Your students will energize you, inspire you, and make you feel like you're exactly where you should be, doing exactly what you should be doing. Strategy 1, the classroom environment starts with you. Routines are so important in the classroom environment because a student should come into your classroom and see and know exactly what they will be doing that day, or at least the schedule. The routine creates an environment where the student can feel comfortable as well as confident, and the teacher can feel comfortable and confident as well. I've also found that students have a hard time trusting and even respecting their teachers when their teachers are highly emotional. It's not good for a student to come into a classroom and feel like they're walking on eggshells because they don't know what their teacher's emotion is going to be. So I've found that keeping your emotions in check can have your students respect you and trust you. Strategy 2, pace your energy. It is your responsibility as a teacher to pace your energy. It is not healthy to be totally exhausted after every class. The first class I ever taught was a 5th through 8th grade class, and right afterwards I felt completely drained of all of my energy and immediately became afraid of my future. So, after further research, I found that the best way to pace my energy is to keep thinking about it throughout my classroom. I doled out each little piece of energy very well throughout the class by the end of the time of that semester teaching that 5th through 8th grade class. You have the power to avoid the stress and fatigue that make you unhappy and ineffective. You have the power to create the well-behaved class you've always dreamed of. I've also found that the more I talk, the more my students resist listening. Therefore, I try to make what I say totally important and integral to their learning. If I keep yammering on about things that may not be very crucial for them at that moment to know, they start to tune out my voice. So I wanted to be able to say in short amounts of words what they really needed to know. That way they became used to listening to me. Strategy 3, prepare, prepare, prepare. I've also found that I put too much material into my lesson plans, and even though most of the time my students get everything done that they need to get done, I found that it was very stressful because they were rushing to get finished before they can go to their next class. So I learned to trim down my lesson plans and have more time for classroom debrief and discussions. In the beginning of my teaching, I put in my lesson plans very little emphasis on the essential questions and classroom discussion afterwards. But as I started to teach more and more, I found that that is totally crucial to be able to have the students see the merit of what they're learning. What's the point in teaching them all this if they don't know how they can take it away from the classroom or what actually matters? This may mean, when you have to trim down your lesson plans to give enough time for debrief and discussion, this may mean that you have to trim down your curriculum as well. But that just means that the lessons that stay after the trimming down are the ones that really matter. Strategy 4, know your students. For this part of my classroom management plan, I reached out to a past teacher of mine who was a Spanish teacher in my high school. And I was a terribly disciplined child, and I would always get the class to be really distracted and loud and crazy, and I was always really impressed about how she respectfully but effectively got me on track with the class. I asked her recently what was her trick to get a student like me to be passionate about Spanish. And she said that a personalized approach of teaching is what she always tried to achieve. So for the first 2 to 3 weeks of classroom, she'd size the kids up and kind of analyze them. She would see which ones may be really effective in that class, or which ones would have a struggle with Spanish, and which ones would put all their energy into the class and which ones would put little. But furthermore, she also analyzed their passions. So she would write down, because students talk about their passions, and she would write down what they would be talking about. So I always talked about art. I liked art. And there are students that liked sports and math and music, etc. So she tried to put that into her lesson plans to create agency, but also to create a higher interest into what they were learning. So for instance, with art, she found that a lot of students liked art in our class, so she had us translate scripts or manifestos from Hispanic artists. So, and also she had several murals in the room from those stories or from those artists. So, what are your students interested in? Try and find that out so that you can tailor your lesson plans to be more interesting to them. Strategy 5. Create clear expectations. Your students should know exactly what you expect from them when they enter their classroom. This may mean that your classroom rules should not just be apparent, but also in the hearts of every student. They should know exactly what they need to do to excel in your classroom. Your students are your allies, so create goals with students with difficulty in your classroom, and have them create 1 or 2 goals with you that they want to achieve during your classroom time. That way it creates more agency in your classroom, and it becomes more interesting for them to achieve that goal by the end of the time with you. An individualized approach to student expectations is always good and positive. Creating a classroom management plan is different for each teacher in each subject area. So make sure it's tailored and implemented to create the least amount of stress in your classroom. This will absolutely reduce the possibility of teacher burnout. So remember these 5 strategies. The classroom environment starts with you. Pace your energy. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Know your students and create clear expectations. Thank you and good luck.